Hey guys, welcome back to Dive In Deep in Thought. You're here with Elias, and today I want to talk to you guys about the power of your actions and how your actions are what you need to do in your life to get your needs met. And then once you meet your needs, what that does is it creates this feeling of wholesomeness in yourself. Not completeness, but wholesomeness. So it makes you feel like you've ticked off a lot of the things that you needed to do, and it makes your life more worthwhile and more committed and more driven and more purposeful. So once you commit the actions in your life that you need to satisfy you, it by default influences the people around you because you're in a more positive mindset. And once they see that, the evidence through seeing it, not necessarily hearing it, because speak and I will listen, but do and I will follow. People want to be led. And they don't want to be necessarily led directly. They want to see you go through your journey, and then they want to see that it's possible. And then that gives you credit and integrity. And once you've got credit and integrity, that builds a trust that they can believe that they will do it themselves. And once they do it themselves, they will be the beacon for their life, and somebody else will look at that and obviously be inspired and motivated to do that as well. So our actions are the most powerful way to obviously progress forward, but also to influence and improve our lives and the lives around us. So what are some things that we can do today to improve our lives in terms of just making small actions, taking small actions every day? So the easiest way to relate is if I tell you about what I do on a daily basis, and then you could obviously adapt what you believe would be suitable for your life. And by lining up your intention and your expression, so your intention is the deep down honest meaning why you're doing anything, and then your expression is your physical body language and onwards. So when your intention lines up with your expression, then you become vulnerable. That's when it drives into the person. When their intention and their expression align, then they become vulnerable, and then they become honest with you. And that honesty is what makes you have some trust in that person. You've trusted they've done it, and you've trusted it's the right thing. We all know what's right and wrong. Everyone knows that. But do we do what's right and wrong? Well, no, because in order for us to do what's right and wrong, we need to see that it's worked and it's still relevant and that it has physically happened to somebody else. So on a daily basis, what I like to tick off on my daily checklist is gratitude exercises throughout the day. So a gratitude exercise is simply up to 5 things that you feel you're privileged to have, and that you're very grateful and content that you have in your life, and that without it you would be at a deep regret or deep loss. So you've got to see the other end. In order to be grateful, you've sort of got to feel some form of pain, and by feeling that pain, then you can fill that pain with the fact that you have it right now, or you're going to have it. So it's important that we be grateful. And a gratitude exercise is just 5 things that you make, whether you write it down or think about it. But it's not only just writing or thinking about it. That's the first thing, acknowledging it. But the second thing is adding some emotional intent to it. So things that you would be grateful for would be, a safe country that you're living in. The fact that you don't have to look out for yourself in terms of your safety all the time. That is very important. Your family, are they there for you? Have they supported you? And have they been for you in tough times? Have you been there for them? Has it equally been balanced? So that's very important. Your friends, who are the people who call you up when you're not feeling the best, or when you've needed someone to talk to confide in? What about food? What are you eating on a daily basis that you're grateful for, that you understand that not everyone has access to? Are you grateful for that? Are you grateful for the fact that you can physically walk around? You have the mobility to get around and go as you please. understand that not everyone has that luxury. And you know, your health is very important. You should not take that for granted. And it's been handed to you. It's not something you've earned. So a lot of these things, everything that I'm talking about, has been essentially given, and it's a matter of obviously working to get it. But they're there. They're available. And that is very, very important, that we do not see beyond them and take them for granted. What taking something for granted is assuming it's going to be there forever. So ask your question to yourself. Ask the question to yourself: is this going to be here forever? And if I lost it, how would I feel? And that puts you in check to say, oh my, I should really take this more seriously. Or this job that I thought wasn't good enough because, you know, my boss wasn't treating me well. But if I lost this job, would I be able to live a normal life? What would I have to do to find another job? And what that does is it creates more emotional intent. And when you have more emotional intent, you respect that a lot more. And you obviously, gratitude flows from that. So gratitude is very important on a daily basis. The second thing is being physically active. To some extent, it could be walking, push-ups, squats, you know, those elastic cables, weights, if you can get your hands on weights. And what happens when you take care of your physical body is not only do you feel good and you are able to have more strength, physical strength, which increases your confidence, is that when people see you, they see that you've invested in yourself before you've even spoken one word. So people look at you and they understand that this guy's put in so many hours into the way he looks. And the way you look is not necessarily vain unless you're defined by your looks. So unless you're purely defined by your looks, and that if something happened to the way you look, you would be completely distraught and distressed, that is an issue. But there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. People want to see people who take care of themselves, because what it does is it elevates their mood. And it creates this gap between what they can become. So what it does, it creates a gap of potential. And everyone wants to be around people who create a gap of potential so that they can grow. And you can be that person that influences that other, the surrounding people around you. So physical activity is very important. It makes you feel good. It de-stresses you. Your physical body looks stronger. You look better. And it's just all about not being defined. You know, whatever defines you shouldn't be this one thing that if you lost it, you'd also lose who you are. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. But it's very important to train every day, and just start small, 15 minutes a day, and then in time it'll progressively get bigger. And another thing that I would recommend you guys to do, that I do, is reading every day. So I read every single day, and I read at least for half an hour. So I like to listen to Audible audiobooks, because I find that it's very effective, and I can really get an understanding of what the author is trying to get to me. And then when I do listen to audiobooks, I jot down notes so that I can relate to those notes. And I don't want to necessarily memorize the book, but I want to take down applicable concepts that I can apply to my life, so that I can improve my quality of life, improve my perspective, improve the way I see things. And I've noticed that by going to the same place previously in my life at a later stage, what tends to happen is I get this bit of a strange feeling, because I've grown the extent that I have in that time that I've visited the same place. And what tends to happen is you start to use that as a reference. So if you want to know if you're growing as a person, find a reference place or person and just touch base with them, especially if you haven't seen them for a while. And what tends to happen is you'll physically feel some level of growth that has come into your life, and you start to look at that that experience or person in a way of, oh wow, this is how much I've actually progressed. And it's important to give yourself credit where you have grown, because if you don't, give yourself credit, no one else will. And if you don't give yourself credit and no one else will give you credit, you will start not to believe when you do things well, that you're worthy of it. So a lot of people discount their hard work. They say, oh, it's not much, it's nothing. And after a few years, when people tell them, hey man, you've done really well, you've created this big business, it's the most, it's definitely propelled you financially, mentally, physically, it's an achievement. And they go to you, oh, it's not much. That's because throughout that journey, they haven't given themselves credit to grow in that sense. And it's good to be humble and it's good to be modest, but being accountable in a good and bad way for anything that you do will give you that little bit of an edge and will give you a little bit of validation for yourself in order to propel yourself. Not at the expense of others, but for yourself. So reading is really, really important. Meditation is another thing. Meditation is just blocking out the noise that I always tell you guys. Now, when I say noise, what noise means is it means any distraction that is coming inwards. So anything from the exterior world coming in that you have to process, I call it noise. And what tends to happen is when you're around enough noise, whether it's your environment, what you're looking at in social media, the shows you watch, when you're around enough noise, you match that frequency. That's why I call it noise, because you're matching that frequency. You've probably heard that you are the average of your 5 best friends, or that you're a product of your environment. And if you're in a certain environment long enough, it molds you to who you want to be. So the noise is the wavelength of your surroundings. So getting out of the noise is like meditating, going for a bushwalk, journaling, writing down your thoughts and feelings on a daily basis, and how you're observing them from sort of an objective point of view. So you're writing them down subjectively, you're writing down what you feel, and then you're looking at it from like a third person, and you're sort of being critical about yourself. And I think that's really good, because most people won't be critical about others in an honest way. And if they are, it's biased from their perspective. It's important to always take criticism well. Never take criticism as something that someone's trying to beat you down. There's a difference between being bullied or put down, or someone just being critical about you because they care about you. It's generally the people that care about you most that they're honest and they're willing to risk the temporary way you see them for the sake of the betterment of yourself. Understand that we're all improving every day, no matter how much money you have or knowledge you have, or influence, power. We're always improving, and we always want to be approachable by others. So it's very important that we don't think we're better than someone because of all the knowledge, because you may have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have an ounce of courage to take action, then it's not very useful to yourself or anyone around you. And someone else may be that catalyst for you to take action. So you can't discount anyone. You might only be inspired because you saw a homeless person, and that was the reason that you grew. And it's only because you accepted that he was homeless and you sort of felt the pain that he was going through that you grew as a person. But if you did not allow that emotion to enter you, how could that change you? So what are you blocking out on a daily basis, and why are you discounting everything around you based on your perspective? So that's important, to connect with everyone around you. That's the next one I want to talk about, is connecting with everyone based on what they want to say. So don't filter all the information and have selective hearing, selective processing. Don't get everything that you want to only hear, because then how would you grow? Are you only growing through the ways that you think growth is? Or are you letting the experiences sort of take you in, and you have so much confidence and control in yourself that you can sustain your character? And so what if you change a little bit in the better direction? That doesn't mean you're weak. That means you were vulnerable for a second, you took information in, then you processed it and you worked off that. And that's where growth and change comes in. Most of the really successful people, when you look into it, whether it's through money, power, influence, authority, they're generally the people who have changed the most. They're usually the people who tell you, I was flipping burgers at 15, and then by 30, 40, 50, they've got 15,000 employees running a global corporation. They've changed the most. So when you resist change, you're resisting growth. Do not resist change. Be confident and strong enough to accept change and analyze it, process that change, and find out how you can utilize that change to improve who you are. So these are a few things I do on a daily basis that can help you as well as help me, if I keep doing them, to grow as a person and help us all connect and be the best version of ourselves. So thanks for listening, guys. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next one.